Hey folks, this is Ben Gessel. How's it going? This might be a lengthier video, so I know I haven't made a whole bunch of videos recently. I have my reasons, and they're lengthy, believe me. But hopefully you guys like this one. Okay, so here we go. I know exactly what I'm going to talk about, by the way. It's not like, sometimes it seems like, it might seem to you guys like I don't really know what I'm going to talk about. There are those times, and it's often when I'm taking walks around here where I live, that I kind of just have some things in my mind. I'm not exactly sure what it is yet. So as I talk, it comes to me. But at least I always have some reason for talking, for making videos. I might actually make a few of them. We'll see tonight. But I know exactly what I'm going to talk about. So I've got the critique before for some videos more in the past of I'm not really sure what it is you're talking about, Ben, or you just seem to be kind of wandering. Of course, this person was a little bit more severe in their comments, but let's just say the whole subject itself was kind of dumb and stupid and in some respects, and a lot of people watching those kinds of videos were kind of dumb and stupid, if in a way. We won't get into it, but having to do with the paranormal, by the way. It all depends on your reasons for watching that stuff and your, I don't know. There's a lot of boneheads that are in that whole kind of thing, but into that whole thing, but whatever. Anyway, so this video is all about what we see in other people and kind of the nature of our relationships with other people. And maybe more than that, but it just has to do with how we see other people and how that affects ourselves. Right. Okay. I might walk around here a little bit as we talk. So again, in my life, most people I've known really haven't been especially mature or insightful or whatever. But people have been more troubling and disappointing and hard to deal with than they have been supportive, nice, more mature, more my type. That's just the way my life has been, by the way. I don't know if it's the way your life has been, of course. By the way, my landlord has all these little funny things sometimes. He's worried about people not locking doors and whatever, lights and things. So that's just my landlord. But it goes without saying, again, as I mentioned before, sorry, I'm repeating this. In my life, most people have been not so fun to deal with. That's just my life. It's just me. I've done my best. In most cases, with most people, I've done my best. Now, there have been times when I've maybe been a little bit short with somebody, been a little bit impatient. Sure. There have been times when I've been a little less understanding, perhaps. As a general rule, one of my strengths is being understanding and empathetic. So that really is beneath me. And I don't feel happy about those times at all. But it, again, in my life, most people have been, it has made life harder to deal with in general. Just knowing more people, or knowing people, talking with the people I've known. So if I had my ideal world, as you could probably guess, only the people that I have enjoyed being around and others that I don't know yet that I would prefer to be around, that's my ideal world. Not the people that give me any problems or people I don't know that would be even worse. But that's, I think, most of you guys, if not all you guys, would be that way. You say, oh, it's troubling people that add character to ourselves. Well, if that's the case, man, hopefully I have lots of character because that's most of the people I've dealt with. And as you get older, what happens is most people increasingly just kind of, like, we all want to do our thing, whatever it is. We all want to talk to whoever it is we want to talk to, however we can. And some of us don't get to talk to anybody we really enjoy talking with, or very few people we enjoy talking with, or marrying or whatever. You know, uh, everybody's life is different. Everybody's life is different. Um, but um, but as you get older, what you find is that most people, when you were younger, people would chat with you more, oftentimes, but they were not always very kind to you. But they'd still talk to you because, what do you do when you're in school? Uh, you know, in the adult world, sure, chat with people. You often end up initiating the conversation depending on the situation. And maybe if you don't initiate the conversation, if somebody else does, the chances are they're often not somebody you always really want to talk to. But if they are someone you want to talk to, amazing, awesome. And the more that's the case with more people, the better. I tend to just go in circles sometimes. Don't mind me. Okay, so let's get that all out of the way. That's all introductory stuff here, kind of. Now, again, for some of you guys, most of you guys, probably for some of you guys, the majority of people you talk to or you're around, you enjoy their company more. I wish I was in that ballpark. I wish I was in the camp. I really truly do. If I ask myself, what is it that I don't like about all these people that are more enjoyable to be around for some? What is it? It's always been the way it's been in my life, to some extent or another. It's always been the way it's been. Well, it might have something to do with the following. It might have something to do with the fact that the way my mind is naturally is, I just am very bright and intelligent. That is me. It's one of my qualities and characteristics. I understand things far more rapidly and far more deeply than most people do. That's just the way I am. Of course, it depends on the subject, and as many of you guys know, one of my strong suits is music. Specifically, composition and harmony is my strongest area, really, in theory, whatever. But yeah, music theory, whatever. But it's really composition and harmony and all that stuff. So, and so on and so on, other things. But, so most people are kind of dull to me. Most people truly are dull. I have an IQ mid 120s. A lot of people, to one extent or another, I don't really care that much about it. It's good to know that I am much more intelligent than the average person, but I'm nowhere close to the IQ of a 150 person. And by the way, when it comes to music, IQ does matter. But it's just a question of, what it is that you're doing. Because some things in music IQ doesn't come into play as much. But it does. Music is very demanding on your mental facilities. You're a performer, also your body as well. Your fingers, lips for horn players, so on and so forth. Yeah. I mean, most people really are pretty dull to me. Not very creative, not very intuitive or intelligent. They might be great hard workers. They might actually have some very strong skills in certain areas. My brother, for instance, he went in dentistry. He's more practically minded than I am. He has a really good mind. He understood calculus and I didn't. So there's some brainy genes that run in my family. My younger brother got the sciencey ones. I got the artsy ones. My younger sister and brothers, maybe not so much into the brainy thing as much as myself and my other younger brother, Tom. But it runs in the family sometimes, these things. Higher IQs, I can't explain it. I can't. But let's go on to the next thing here, because I'm going to get to my main subject. I'm just explaining more where I'm at, folks. So, along with this, a lot of people are very dull to me. A lot of people are also very unkind. What does that mean exactly? What do I mean by that? Well, I don't just mean there's the when you're younger, saying mean names, calling someone a meanie, right? All that stuff, right? A poopy face, whatever it is. That's a little bit, I'm sure there's many other things that come to mind. That's all when you're younger. As you get older, and everybody gets older, just I've always been a sensitive person. I always take things very personally and seriously. That's my natural personality. It's hard not to do that. I've had to learn to not be that way sometimes. A lot of times. When you're trying to be someone you're not, you're trying to learn, try to develop these attributes that don't come naturally to you. That takes a long time. It does take a long time. And sometimes it just never comes in this life for some things, but you try, right? Keep working at it. If you give up, you come back to it later. That's usually how these things go. If something is worth pursuing or adapting into your character, it's just a matter of time. You work on it or you save it for later. And hopefully you don't save it for too long, depending on some things. But yeah, unkindness. So I'm talking about, it goes beyond what you say. Just teasing somebody, or you're genuinely upset with someone and you really lash out at that. And then as you get older, that can become more severe because the nature of what your thoughts are. Adults, teenagers, so children, teenagers, adults. As you get older, some people really know where to hit hard and hit home, and they can really say some very hurtful things. And I've never wanted to be that way, but that's we're talking about many different. This is a multifaceted kind of thing, unkindness. Because kindness is also a multifaceted thing. There's many different ways to be kind. Many, many different ways to be kind. More than you can possibly imagine. But likewise, there's many different ways of being unkind. If someone's having a miserable day, or someone's stressed out to the maximum, or whatever, is it unkindness to ignore them? Well, a lot of us are just not sure what to say. We don't know what to say, right? We see somebody's having a hard time, but we don't know what to say. And these are the sorts of things that are worth thinking about. It's oftentimes these things that we don't always know what we should do. I'm not saying you have to. I'm not saying there's one answer to this. I'm just saying that is it really kindness? Let's say you're a Christian or LDS or whatever it is. You're in a place, or family reunion, or you're in a place where everybody for a day is taught to at least say 3 nice things to somebody. Right? That's the idea. Only 3. You can do more than that, but just 3. And you have to write down what you said, right? Not necessarily who you said it to, but then you give it to a counselor or something, right? And they say, "Oh, good job." And how easy is that, right? Maybe it's a better thing is like 10, right? 10 nice things to say. That might be a little bit more something to actually shoot for, right? I don't know. Is it? Now, it's not something that's asked, but what if one of those nice things turns into a very empathetic conversation? So you actually talking to somebody, and it's easier sometimes if you're a young man to be empathetic to a young woman that you find attractive and all that stuff. So I understand that, right? Okay. Well, let's just say that's the case. Well, guy or girl. But let's just say it could be either one. Someone is crying, having a hard day. They miss their parents at this youth camp. So, you could say a nice thing. You check it off on your list, right? Or you could have a conversation with that person and listen. And it might be tough because this person's emotional. And at the very end of the conversation, as the conversation ends, if it ever does end, it might go on for a while. Maybe this person has a reassurance that everything will be okay. And that they've been heard, their feelings have been heard, and they're valued, they feel understood, they feel accepted. Maybe this person wants to become better friends with this person. Who knows? Is that something that you can put on a list? Is that something that satisfies whatever the requirement was to say 10 nice things to somebody? I should darn well think so. In fact, that one conversation would probably put, if someone was just trying to say things, just check it off on a list, would put that to shame. To shame. Something real. So let's talk about then fakeness versus reality. If someone is genuinely kind, that means something. If someone is genuinely unkind, that also means something. If someone just didn't mean to be unkind, but maybe they weren't as kind as they could be, that's definitely different than if you're purposefully unkind. And the main person who knows if you've been purposefully or accidentally unkind, right? The only person who truly knows that is you, because you're going to get all kinds of comments from people saying, that was so mean, or whatever it is. And they won't know. They won't know. They can sense. You can only sense things about other people, but no. The person who said it knows precisely what they meant. It knows precisely how mean-spirited it was. And if they're not sure about their own selves regarding how mean whatever they said was, all they have to do is look at in the eyes of God in the next life. And I'm sure they'll know at that point just how mean they really were, or whatever else we're talking about regarding character. So, yeah. Unkindness. It's a big deal. But we can keep going down the list of different attributes and ways, things we see in other people or don't see. I might have to make some other videos in the future about this subject. I don't know. There's so many things to say about it. But, and I don't make sure that this doesn't go too long. So dullness and unkindness. Well, what else could I possibly find at fault with the rest of humanity or a lot of people? There are desires we all have. I'm not just talking about, oh boy, no. I'm just talking about whatever. There are just social desires we have. We want to know people better. We want to have better friends. We want to have deeper relationships with people. Okay? We have desires. Well, what can cause someone to maybe not think very highly of other people in general when their desires socially are not being met? In some way, shape, or form. Dating-wise, romantically, whatever. So that can cause someone to become very more bitter towards humanity. And the only way to really understand that is if someone's been in that situation themselves for a shorter or longer period of time. It doesn't really matter. The thing is, we can say, oh, well, let's just trust God that He'll take care of us. Okay. Sure. I've never had a problem with that. It's very much something that we Mormons like to say. Sometimes. Even more than Christians. Other Christians, I should say. It's always that ongoing, ridiculously weird notion of us being a cult. Well, listen to Joe Rogan and we're all cults, right? It's everybody's opinion. It's anybody's opinion what's going on there. But let's just say that we talk about God a lot in my church, and we talk about how He's got the whole world in His hands, right? We're definitely still in that ballpark. Just like a lot of other people going to church with the cross on Sunday. You could doubt that. There's a lot of people that we all doubt these kinds of things. But ultimately, in a way, whether or not you believe God is going to take care of you and help you out at some point or not, it really doesn't really change the day-to-day. Is this going well or not? And if God is helping me, cool, but I don't always know if He is, kind of side of life. So God's not going to do everything for you, so might as well do something for yourself. The best you can, right? Do your best. That's, in my opinion, more important than you want to believe in God. It does help you be happier. It does help you have a reassurance that things are going to work out in the future. You definitely want that, but what you need, even a little more than that, at least, is the that your desires or needs are known. You can look at Michael McLean's song "You're Not Alone" kind of thing. The lyrics as well. Doesn't matter if you're Mormon or not. You can still love that song. It's nothing preventing you from liking it because it's Mormon. He's a great guy. Recommend you guys all listen to Michael McLean some more. It's good for the soul. It doesn't really matter what religion it is. If it helps you feel better, it's a good thing, right? Yeah, feels better. It helps you feel better spiritually. So, yeah. Desires. Getting back to desires. And just being upset with, people not fulfilling your social desires in some way. Now, let's just say you're one of these people that has a lot of things going for you socially, whether you're younger or older, whether you're married or not. But let's just say things are happier for you, better for you. You feel like not too many people are your social needs are more met. But you would still like to have more enjoyment socially. Still, maybe there's times when you feel like, whether it's a romantic thing or a social thing, maybe you feel like you belong with a group of people, but maybe, just maybe, not as much as maybe you would really like to feel like you belong with that group. I know I'm talking with basically talking about a lot of people here. There's a lot of people that probably feel that way. I just, and by the way, when it comes to things like psychologists, me personally speaking, even though you're talking about, that's the train of thought of, should I become a psychologist? People have mentioned that before. Well, the thing is, aside from all you're seeing a patient as a professional, not something personal. Gosh, when it comes to psychology, there's very few things I can think of that are hard to make that boundary grayer. So being a psychologist, man. So I didn't pursue psychology partially because I was like, is this a science or is this socializing? Someone trying to help someone feel better. Maybe they're just better at it. Maybe they're more scientific about it. I still take the field seriously. I just knew that if I was a psychologist in some level, it would be hard to separate work from the rest of your life. Sometimes it's hard to do that when I'm teaching private music lessons. It doesn't matter how musical you're talking about. It's hard, but it's doable. I shouldn't say it's that hard sometimes, but there are other times it's a little harder. And sometimes, if parents are cool with it, you become friends with the parents, and so on and so forth. And that's okay if you want to be that way as a teacher. But, it all depends. So, yeah, psychologists. They see a lot in people. They should. And they try to help people with these things. I'm sure they do. Especially when we're talking more about mental conditions and things when it comes to psychologists. But you have the psychologists that will just listen to people having a hard time. Yep. We won't get into the ethics of all that and the whatever else. That's probably a subject for a different time. If you guys are curious about that, more in-depth discussion of all things psychology related, but I might have to consult some more people in that area that are actually psychologists. But I would venture to say that a lot of people are probably not completely happy with whatever's going on in their social life. Probably not. Probably not completely happy. And there are some people, no matter how whatever's going on in my life, there's probably some people that have it much, much worse than I do. Still. Yeah. Good people. People that are kind. People that are genuine. People that are intelligent. People that are interesting to talk to are still, many of them, much more hurting than I've ever hurted. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Single moms, divorced, chubby, too chubby, miserable, feeling like they're just full of sin, not desirable, not wanted. Guys that are a little chubby, maybe a little skinny, maybe not very muscly, feeling ignored. Whatever it is, we all feel the ignored feeling. Hustle and bustle of the Western world. We all want to more friends with people. Maybe we look at farmers and we say, I wish we had a life more like, it wouldn't have to be a farmer, but just people. I wish people were more friendly, right? We would just talk to people more. And as you get older, it might increase that way. There's all kinds of people I'm not even talking about yet, but still are miserable on some level. And the crazy thing about all this is, and I've only mentioned unkindness and being a little dull mentally, and maybe just there are the sadness of not always having in our lives everything you want to socially. I've only mentioned those three things. I haven't even mentioned everything else. But let's just talk. I want to make sure I don't forget this one last thing. There's just the miscommunication that still happens. There's still the misunderstanding someone. There's a level of understanding different people have about different other people. There's what we observe about other people and why. And, I had a roommate when I was a little younger, not too much younger, Mexican American. We got along great. Both members of the same church. Both loving video games. Both introverts. Both shy around women. Oh yeah. We didn't know what to always say to different sorts of women. Yep. He didn't have a car. It's hard to date when you don't have a car. You have to use a bus and you feel embarrassed. A lot of snobby women out there, especially in the West. Go to the Philippines, it's probably not a big deal. Or Mexico, whatever, I don't know. It's just that the wealthier nations, people are snobbier, and that's just the way things are. That's why many of us want to go somewhere else, but then we have parents that say, oh, they're poorer. Life will be more difficult. Then we say, life is already plenty difficult in the West. All the things you have to pay for, all the expectations other people have of you. Good heavens. Just want to move to some hole in the wall somewhere. But we all love poorer nations, by the way. They're just different, right? Pros and cons, every place in the world. But I digress. Let's talk again about what we observe about other people. I observed so many things about this young man. So many things I just thought so highly of him. I love him. Love him like a brother. I still do. We haven't chatted for a while. I think I know why, but it's just, those things just never go away when you have that kind of friendship with someone. Now, I could have said, by the way, at this point in time in my life, I'm a little bit older than him. I have all these things I need to be up and doing. He's just spending his time taking community college courses, maybe, and playing a lot of video games, and just not taking things very seriously in life, and just part-time jobs here and there. Doesn't really seem super serious about anything. I could have said that. I said, maybe he's just not worth my time. But I didn't say that. I said, I like this guy. He's a good roommate. He's an awesome buddy. I miss him. Why did I say that instead of, I don't want to be roommates with him. I don't know. Well, it has a lot to do with what you see in other people. I know I have to wrap this video up, but this is so important. What you see in other people is so important. It's so important. It just means everything. It means everything, because when you sense something in someone, it's invisible. It could be any kind of attribute that you like or dislike, right? But it's invisible. You can't see it. So you don't know. You don't always know for sure if that person has that attribute or not, but you feel it, you sense it. And I know there's a tie-in, a direct tie-in, by the way, with religion in this regard. It's the same way, it is the same way, very much the same way when it comes to the things that are true and real regarding religion and spiritual life. It's the same thing. It's the same thing where you can't see it, you can't feel it, you can't touch it. You can feel it emotionally, but you can't taste it. You can't physically feel it. You can't see it. It's not tangible, but you feel it internally. It's an emotion. With people, trying to understand them better and what they're saying and how they are and their character, it's the same deal when it comes to what's right and wrong. What church should I go to? It doesn't matter. I understand there's a lot of confusion with this regard, all this, but when you hear something you think is true, it depends on how you feel, right? Okay. So, what do we observe in other people? What do we observe in other people? You can see that someone is poor or wealthy. It's not too hard to see. Or middle class. You can see if someone's looks more intelligent or they're not really super intelligent looking. You can kind of tell by the way someone talks and treats people what their character is like, how kind or unkind they are. You can kind of tell, even in some respects, you can even see things of a sexual nature in someone, moral nature. Although many things are not as easy to see in that regard, but you can also see if someone's arrogant or humble. You can see if somebody is really scattered, busy, maybe confused about a lot of things, all over the map emotionally, or the opposite, level-headed. You can see if someone has a very strong understanding of themselves or not. You can see if someone is going to cave into peer pressure or not. If someone's brave or nervous or timid. Someone's just very sad or very bubbly and happy and upbeat most of the time, all the time. Or many other kinds of things like that. You can see these things in other people, and I just have to say, a lot of times we still get it wrong about other people. We still get so many things wrong. I'll say it again, we still get so many things wrong about other people. And it's so hard sometimes, especially the older you get, in different people's lives, it's so hard to make new friends. It's so hard to meet new people. It's so hard to get out of your whatever you're doing. But when you do, when you meet somebody new, whether it's romantic or something else, it's so good, especially if it's genuine and that other person wants to keep that relationship going. That is awesome. It's awesome. If you really, depending on how you feel about that person, and if you don't really care much about that person, but you still think well of them, cool. But it's so much awesomer, I know, if it's a stronger connection. And it hurts.